really is for the 15th of July. On the Saturday and Sunday, I got kind of confused, and I think the Saturday reading, I entitled it the 14th. Of course, it was 13th, but there you are then. I'm going to do a little preface before I do the reading today. The reading in its original form was always on the mind of God. And I know a lot of people are allergic to using the word God for lots and lots of different reasons. Some people literally freak out when they hear it because it brings back traumas from when they were young and the kind of religion they grew up in. Other people just have no religion and it's meaningless to them. So what I do, as I've explained many times before, is I try and translate the word God into other words that people will kind of recognize as being something, some power that's greater than we are. And how you interpret it, it's entirely up to you. So today I'm going to use the words, the one. And if the word God is not something that you're allergic to, fine, substitute it back in. And if you are, then use the one. If you want to use the universe or any other spirit, whatever, just use that. You know, I try and do, as I've said before, is to speak to a wider audience than people who are religious or spiritual. And yeah, there's also a big argument as to what is the difference between religion and spirituality. Some people would call religion crowd control, whereas spirituality is concentrating on something greater than we are. And it's in that latter sense that really science of mind, religious science, grow up. Anyway, always on the mind of the one. This is Brother Lawrence of the Resurrection. He's quite famous for his little sayings. And one of them was, he said, think often on the one, by day, by night, in your business, and even in your diversions. The one is always near you and with you. Leave the one not alone. In other words, realize there's something greater than you are, whatever you want to call it, and that one is something that brought everything into existence, and therefore you are intimately connected with it and can never be separate from it. Ernest Holmes said, it's not merely a new theory about the one that we're looking for, it is the actual power of the one that we must lay hold of. So Holmes was saying, it's called This Thing Called Life on page 5 there, he's saying that there is a power greater than we are and that we can use it. And he used those exact words quite a few times. Reverend Josh is kind of getting down to, he talks a lot about himself and his activities during the day and his ruminations. And it's kind of good because what it does is, even though he's the co-pastor of a megachurch, he kind of brings everything down to a personal and just a regular level. You know, he's a regular guy. He says, I have one of those mornings again, one of those mornings where I got started thinking about something other than the one. Usually, I don't do it on purpose. An habitual glance at the phone, a reminding of something inarticulate I said the day before, continuing an ongoing argument in my head with so-and-so. It's easy to forget the one, but I think we underestimate how unlikely it is that we are forgotten by the one, that is. Most of us have written a love poem to someone at some point that went something like, you're the last thing I think about when I go to bed at night, and the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning. He says, as much as we may call love the people we care for, and for spiritual things referring to the sacred, as we create a sanctuary of rest in the evening, and when we pave the foundation of consciousness in our minds to bring about a new day. He says, I forgot that this morning. My mind went to the family budget, and what I perceive is my partner's slight and that situation at work that I should have prevented. He then asks, or says, if this happens to you like it happens to me, consider this. Although the one may not always be on your mind, I am always in the mind of the one. I am in the one's first thought and the one's final thought, and I am never forgotten in between. He said, "Ooh, now I can remember." So in other words, what he's telling us is that there's a power greater than we are, and that power is always with us. Ernest Holmes actually said that the only separation of ourselves from this one source is the sense of separation. You know, oftentimes in religion, they'll say you're separated from the source, from the divine. What Ernest Holmes said, no, that's impossible, because if something is in and through everything, you can never ever be separated from it. In fact, the only thing that you can do in your own mind is to imagine that you're separate from it. And that's what Reverend Josh is saying here. And he's saying, unsaid, he's telling us that because we are always present in something that keeps the universe going, then we never fear. And we can always use the power that runs through us to bring about things in a better way. I really don't have a lot more to say. I think it's fairly straightforward, except to repeat what Reverend Jesse repeated yesterday in his Sunday talk, and what we've talked about in the past week, and we often talk about, and that is spiritual practice. And as I said, spiritual practice means different things to different people. To some people, it means meditating on a divine name. To others, it simply means being still and concentrating on their breath. And to people of a spiritual bent, it means acknowledging that when we go into this quiet time, we're connecting with something greater than ourselves. So whatever you do, it's good practice. And if you don't believe in anything greater than us, it's still good practice, because what it does is it helps you calm down. And it's a proven fact that it can do things like lower blood pressure and so on, create more health, better health. It's a good thing to do. For me, it's a spiritual practice, because I happen to believe that there is a power greater than I am that runs through me. Well, what you believe is your choice. You know, we tell people in Science of Mind, we're not here to tell you what to believe. You know, a lot of religions will say, you have to believe this. If you don't believe this, you're going to some place called Hell. No, it's none of that. We teach you how to believe. And the how is to trust that there is something greater than you are that can help you. And that you weren't born in sin, that you are born whole, perfect, and complete. Yes, we have flaws. We develop flaws as we go along. But initially, we are born as whole. Maybe not always physically whole, because babies are born with different issues, but you are whole. And we say you're whole, perfect, and complete. Why? Because that's what you are in the mind of the one. So that's all I got to say. I will be back tomorrow, 5-ish. The affirmation today: I will not leave the one alone. In spirit, in body, in soul, the one is always with me, and I am with the one. So I would appreciate you giving us a like. I would appreciate if you like these readings, please pass them on to other people. And if wondering what's in the Science of Mind textbook is something that you've been curious about, well, every morning around about 9 o'clock, Reverend Lisa reads from the Science of Mind textbook. She had some commentary in there, because otherwise it would be pretty boring. So she adds some commentary to it, so check her out, 9 o'clock. Give us a like and give us some feedback. We appreciate it. Until next time, namaste.